We're now going to spend 2.6 of our GDP on defense by 2027. I'm thinking
The UK was founded by geniuses. Senator Kennedy says, right now, it's being run by idiots. Welcome to American Hearings. What follows is one of his most pointed, funniest, and most detailed floor speeches yet, and it doesn't spare the Prime Minister.
Starbucks coffee. Now, second thing I want to talk about, our friends in the United Kingdom, and they are our friends. I love the people of the United Kingdom. I do. I went to school there for a while. They're wonderful people. They deserve better than the government that they're being given right now. I don't mean any disrespect in saying this, but I'm not a big fan of the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Starmer. The United Kingdom was founded by geniuses, but at the moment it's being run by idiots. We entered Iran because we had no choice. I don't want America to be the world's policeman. I do not. But on occasion, some of the bad guys in the world decide they're going to be the world's policeman. And it requires us to intervene. And that's why we're in Iran. If I said Iraq, I made a mistake. It's late. That's why we're in Iran. The president did not enter Iran to start a war. He entered Iran to prevent a war. Let me tell you why I say that. Our intelligence clearly showed, categorically, unequivocally, that Iran had restarted its nuclear warhead program. And let me say, I love the people of Iran too. I mean that. I don't think much of their political leadership. The good people of Iran basically are being governed before and now with the new supreme leader by Jack Nicholson and The Shining. They are stone cold crazy. Their religion teaches them, their interpretation of their religion tells them that they have to kill people who don't interpret their religion the same way that they do. And when your religion tells you to kill somebody, as far as I'm concerned, it's time to get a new religion. But be that as it may, our intelligence clearly showed that Iran had restarted its nuclear weapons program, and its plan was to produce so many missiles, so many ballistic missiles, and to some extent cruise missiles and drones. In fact, they were producing between 200 and 600 ballistic missiles a month. Our intelligence showed that their plan was to stockpile so many missiles and so many drones that if we re-entered, or anyone re-entered Iran to stop their new efforts to obtain a nuclear warhead, that they would annihilate the entire Middle East. The entire Middle East. And other countries they could reach, like Turkey. That is a fact. That's what the intelligence showed. So the president, wanting to avoid a future war, said, I've got to intervene now. And here is our mission. I don't care what you've heard. This is what our mission is in Iran. We want to destroy their Navy. We want to destroy Iran's Air Force. We want to destroy Iran's missile production facilities. We want to destroy Iran's drone production facilities. We want to destroy or make them use as many of their missiles as they have and their drones. And we want to attack and destroy the infrastructure used by the Revolutionary Guard. And then we want to get out. Now, there's been a lot of speculation by some of my Democratic friends that, well, the president's going to put boots on the ground. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. If the president puts boots on the ground, the thud you hear will be me face planting from surprise. I will faint. How long will this take? I think a few more weeks, and then we will be out. Was our intelligence right? You better believe it was. What's the first thing, the very first thing that the Iranian leadership did? They started attacking all the other countries in the Middle East. They even fired a missile at Turkey. They even fired a missile at the United Kingdom, one of its bases in Cyprus. Now, I give you this background so you will know why the president did what he did. Everything I just told you, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom knew. He had the same intelligence we had. When it came time for us to intervene, he said, you cannot use any United Kingdom Air Force bases or military bases. None. Zero. Nada. He specifically said you can't use Diego Garcia, the joint U.S. United Kingdom military base in the Indian Ocean that Keir Starmer is trying to give away to Mauritius. You've heard me talk about it on the Senate floor. And Mauritius, of course, will welcome the Chinese. Now, once the war started going the way of people who believe in freedom, Prime Minister Starmer changed his mind. Now he says you can use our bases. Thank you very much, it's a little late. We don't need you. He also is trying to give President Trump advice about how to conduct the war. That's a little bit like seeking the advice of a nun about sex. Sir Keir Starmer is the last person you would want to go to advise you about how to have a military confrontation. He's the kind of guy that he'll want to quote, if you're in the middle of a bar fight, he'll want to stop and quote Socrates. That's what this is, a bar fight. And so I decided after watching this circus without a tent, this goat rodeo that the Prime Minister has thrust upon the world. I said, let me take a look at what the Prime Minister's plans are in terms of defense. Because if you remember, about a year ago, January, the Prime Minister produced this report. That's all it was a report, but he called it a Root and Branch Strategic Defense Review. And its purpose was to settle the United Kingdom's military path for years to come. It was ready not this past January, but January before. He didn't produce it until this past summer. And the Prime Minister makes a big deal in his report. He says, we've changed our ways. We've been born again. We're now going to spend 2.6% of our GDP on defense by 2027. And I'm thinking, good for you. It's about time. And he said this is going to be in line with all of our NATO allies, 2.6% of our GDP on defense by 2027. And he said, and by God, by 2035, we're going to be spending 3.5%. And I'm thinking, man, that's great. And then I read the report. The cash is backloaded. He didn't bother to tell the people of the United Kingdom or NATO or the president. The cash is backloaded. He's not going to even start spending the money, the real money, until the 2030s. That's 4 years from now. He's going to make it somebody else's problem. I can assure you the Prime Minister will not be the Prime Minister in 2030 and beyond. Talk about sleight of hand. And if you run the numbers, there is a great deal of inflation in defense production because so many countries now are starting to actually spend more money on defense, not promising to do so by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So you have to factor in inflation. And under the Prime Minister's plan to not even start spending the real money until 2030, the defense inflation is going to eat away at the amount of money that he has promised to spend. And if you factor in reasonable defense production, the numbers come out to him actually spending 24 billion pounds, $32 billion less than he promised. You think he couldn't figure that out? His numbers guys knew all about it. This is nothing but sleight of hand. In fact, one commentator in the United Kingdom has said it's worse. According to his computations, there's going to be a $28 billion gap over 4 years. Over 4 years. Now, the United Kingdom has also promised to work with us in Australia on building in Australia a new attack submarine. Is the Prime Minister going to wait until 2030 to do that? We can't wait till 2030. Now, look, these are the facts. The United Kingdom has about 140,000 soldiers, members of the military, and God bless every one of them. God bless every one of them. They are down 20% since 2012 and declining. To give you a frame of reference, the United States has 2.1 million members of the military. They have 140,000. 2.8 million if you include civilian support staff for our military. So when we first heard that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom was going to start spending 2.6% up to 3.5% of GDP on defense, of course we got excited. It's about time that the people in Europe embraced adulthood and stopped sending us the bill for their defense. So we were excited. I was excited. I was ready to come down here and congratulate the Prime Minister. And then I read the fine print. Sleight of hand. It's all sleight of hand. Now, if I'm wrong, I hope the Prime Minister will respond. But if I'm right, shame on him. Shame on him for looking the good people of the United Kingdom in the eye and the good people of the world in the eye and lying. And saying that the United Kingdom would do its part when the Prime Minister has no intention whatsoever. And the final point I make, you've heard me, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom wants to give away a military base, a joint military base that we own with the United Kingdom called Diego Garcia. It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The Prime Minister has decided he has got to give it to Mauritius. Mauritius never owned the Chagos Islands, one of which houses our military base. Mauritius has no connection to the islands. But the United Nations told the Prime Minister that he should be ashamed, and that the good people of the United Kingdom should be ashamed because of the United Kingdom's colonial past. And so Mr. Starmer, woke that he is, said, well, we gotta give it away. We want to give it away to Mauritius, who is just like this with China. He might as well just hand the keys to China. I have, to do that, Mr. Starmer's got to get President Trump's permission. And I've been round and round with the president. I don't know how many times I've been on this floor talking about, please stop it, Mr. President. One day I'm not criticizing the president because he's got to listen to his advisors. I get that. First he was against it, then he was for it, then he was against it, then he was for it. His last comment, I think he's figured Mr. Starmer, the Prime Minister, out. He said, no way, no how. He said, no sir, no ma'am, no way. I am not giving you permission. Please stick, Mr. President. Please don't do it. For us to give away that military base, which will end up in the hands of China, for us to give away one of the few places in the Indian Ocean that we can actually refuel our submarines, for us to give away this isn't a hyperbole, it's one of the most important military bases in the defense of the American people. For us to give it away would be unconscionable. Tell Mr. Starmer no, Mr. President. Mr. President, I now ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business today, it stand adjourned until 10 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday, March the 11th. That following the prayer and the pledge, the journal of proceedings be approved to date, the morning hour be deemed expired, the time for the two leaders be reserved for their use later in the day, morning business be closed, and the Senate resume consideration of Cal number 343, H.R. 6644, Housing for the 21st Century Act. Further, Mr. President, that all time during recess, adjournment, and leader remarks count post-cloture on substitute amendment number 4308 to Cal number 343, H.R. 6644.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President, if there is no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that it stand adjourned under the previous order.
Welcome back to American Hearings. Kennedy lays out the intelligence case for the recent strike on Iran first, a restarted nuclear weapons program, hundreds of ballistic missiles produced monthly, and a stockpiling strategy meant to deter any future intervention by threatening to annihilate the region. He insists no American boots will hit the ground, and the mission is narrow: degrade Iran's navy, air force, and missile production, then leave. The sharper material targets Prime Minister Starmer, who initially denied the U.S. permission to use UK bases, including Diego Garcia. Despite having the same intelligence only reversing course once the strikes began succeeding, Kennedy then dismantles Starmer's defense spending pledge. A promised 2.6% to 3.5% of GDP by 2027 and 2035. That turns out to be backloaded, with real spending not starting until the 2030s, and once inflation is factored in, amounting to roughly $32 billion, less than advertised. The Diego Garcia thread ties it together. Kennedy frames Starmer's push to hand the strategic Indian Ocean base to Mauritius, which never owned it, as a giveaway that would functionally benefit China, and credits President Trump for refusing to approve it. Subscribe to American Hearings.